Hello and welcome everyone to another edition of Fridays with Phil. I'm your host, Philip W. Dunn, Program Manager here at USBC. On behalf of our President, Ron Busby, our board, and our staff, I want to thank you all for registering to attend and for your continued support of USBC. Now, before we begin our program, I want to remind you to continue to register for our webinars at usblackchambers.org/webinars. Then we also want you to be sure to register your business at buyblack.us. Now, today I have the esteemed honor and privilege to host this very special guest, and he is the co-founder and CEO of EatOkra. Now, a little bit of background about our next guest is back in 2016, Anthony and Janique Edwards created EatOkra as two Brooklyn transplants who didn't have the means to cook or to store food. Now, without a stove or a refrigerator in their new apartment, this husband and wife duo sought out spaces that were inviting, familiar, and brimming with food that they love or would grow to love. Now, they immersed themselves in their new community, and this duo of co-founders, they explored ways to support local Black businesses and champion the vibrant cultural voices of their neighborhood, eventually planting the seeds for EatOkra. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, how are you today, sir?
I am great, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you so much. I shared a little bit with our audience about who you are and a little bit about EatOkra and how you got started. I wonder if you can expand on that, share just a little bit more about who you are and start us off on your journey.
Yeah. Gosh, my journey, I guess, journey into tech, because I am the CEO, co-founder, but I'm also our CTO. I am responsible for the first, 4 or 5 years of development of the app, kind of solely. I got into tech because as a kid, I've loved robotics. I loved, making websites or hacking away at those things. I love the Lego Mindstorm or the Lego sets that had the sensors and things like that. So I grew up on that. Spider-Man, I wanted to be a geek as a kid and really get into that. But which took me to the Army. In the Army, I was an aviation maintenance repair. I fixed helicopters, navigation, radio, at the component level repair. So I'm chasing wires through different little machines that we use that keep the aircraft from falling out of the sky pretty much or getting shot down. That's the kind of stuff we worked on. But just that love for tech kind of kept me in tech. So once I got out of the Army, I went to Fordham University where I got my computer science degree, and still was working on websites, hacking away whatever I could. After graduating from Fordham University in 2014, I went to a dev boot camp, which was, an immersive experience for, 90 days immersive experience, no summer, literally no summer. It was 6 days a week, 12 hours coding or figuring out or just talking about code, and then 1 day off, and you're still pretty much working. So, I did that for a complete summer, and then I got my first job as a full stack developer, where I would, at a company called Building Block in New York City, where I would work for about 7 years. I'd grow from a junior dev to a senior dev at that company. And in the process, I met my wife. We met on Tinder. Also, technology and apps are what we do together, it seems. So during that time, we met together, and eventually we moved in after a few years together, at the same year in 2016 was an election year, just like we're recently inspired. It was an election year. It was 45's first win. So a lot of talk during that time, racial conversation, social justice. We wanted to do something that would support that in our activism, in our form of activism, and we wanted to make an app. My wife suggested I make an app for us to find and support Black-owned businesses. So that's what we did.
That's awesome, man. You got a great story. The foundation sounds like it was there. You had a natural curiosity to build and connect things. We were in New York a while ago, and we visited the Lego store. My son is very interested in that. He's 12 years old. He's somewhat of a gamer. So I'm glad to hear that he has a similar start in his interest. And then not only that, but you served our country in the military and served honorably. And we thank you for your service here at USBC.
Thank you.
And then, you didn't just sort of abandon this interest. You sought out more guidance and support by attending the boot camp. And so for us, we always encourage folks, if you have a natural interest or a passion for something, definitely go and pursue it a little bit further. And you did that. And then also you met your boss, who is your wife, through Tinder, through an online app, also further leveraging technology. So I'm
Yeah.
really glad to hear how it's all very much a part of your life. And then you took all of that, rolled it up, and then figured out a way to help Black-owned businesses. So
Yeah.
again, thank you again for the work that you're doing in our community. I wonder if I could just ask you just a little bit more. I want to dive into that. You said that right around 2016, we've got, it's almost like we don't talk about Bruno. We got 45 coming into office. And then we also have a lot of racial unrest. And we understand in our community that there is a strong connection between the Black experience and our economic condition. And so you're connecting Black-owned businesses with consumers. Tell us, some of the things that you started out doing to make that connection.
Outside of building the app, or
Yes. All together, or together with the app, and then also some of the things that you were doing on your own.
yeah. So I want to clarify. So we support we love all Black-owned businesses, but we specifically support food and beverage companies on our platform. So and something you mentioned earlier, it's important. And what made it easy is that I was building something, one, that I could use daily, and I was like really testing it and using it in my day-to-day life. And then two, I was also passionate about tech. So really being passionate and then building something that you're gonna day-to-day just makes life easy. It's something you love to do, which is why we were able to I was able to build an extra 30 hours, 20 to 30 hours a week with without getting paid, with no money. It's all bootstrap, spending our own money to manage the servers and things like that. So that makes it easy. You don't really care so much about those things when it's something you love and it's something you're passionate about. But yeah, it's the app, the second we put it out in the world, after we built our MVP over about 7 months, we shared it with this her name is Louis Ethel, and she was sitting by herself. My wife decided to say hello to her. Let's show her the app. We just put it in the app store, see what she thinks. So we did it, and she instantly loved it. We happened to pick the right person, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to share this with all my sorority sisters in Atlanta." And we had no restaurants on the app in Atlanta, so it was great. Now let's go home and add restaurants in Atlanta. So naturally, it just started spreading amongst the community in a very organic way. We have really not spent money on advertising. And right now we've hit close to 500,000 downloads. So most of, if not all of our traffic comes from really organic people just loving our story, loving the mission. They're creating TikTok videos about it. They're, DMing us, they're sharing it amongst friends verbally, saying, hey, you have to download this app, and people are really using it. And it's really really creating community in the way that we saw it. EatOkra. Okra is a seed that was brought over during the slave trade. Mm-hmm. Settles in the South. My roots are from Alabama and Louisiana. And my wife's family is from Warmla Island in Charleston, mm-hmm. in South Carolina. So she's Geechee, her family's the Geechee folks. So, okra is cooked in stews and gumbos, and it's used to thicken things up. It's used to combine ingredients. So at EatOkra, we're hoping to bring communities together through food.
That's an awesome way you bring in our culture, our heritage into the name of the app. And then you talk a little bit about, this organic start in the organic growth. And then you said a key word, which is community and building community. tell us a little bit more about the importance of not just starting an app, building great technology, but then harnessing community, in particular Black community.
Yeah, I mean, harnessing community, it's to some it's safe spaces. It's about saving, being traveling and being in safe spaces and being places that's familiar to you. To others, it's about finding new culture. It's about learning culture through restaurants. Like you go into a restaurant and you see, you can clearly tell this restaurant, the owner is from Louisiana. They're a New Orleans person. All you see is Mardi Gras stuff everywhere, or state stuff all over the place. Who dat? If that's what you would see if you went to my dad's restaurant. But you'll see other cultures. You'll see Jamaican culture. So it's a place of culture too, culture building, culture togetherness, or learning about new cultures. Through the food and through the aesthetic of the restaurant.
And something else I want to try to, kind of talk about is we have so many different cuisines in our community. Southern cooking, we have Creole, we have Jamaican, and then we have, I'm from Texas, so we have that specific flavor. Talk to us about all these different different cuisines and how our community can experience those. Not just our community, but every user of EatOkra can experience all these different cuisines.
Yeah, at EatOkra, we're encouraging Black businesses, Black-owned businesses. That doesn't mean that a Black-owned person cannot do French, cuisine. They cannot make pizza. We have a lot of Black-owned restaurants that are doing so many Chinese, creating these Jamaican Chinese fusions. It's expansive, and a lot of people think that, you think Black food, you think soul food, or you think jollof rice. There's just so much more to being Black, to being in that diaspora than, and EatOkra, we're trying to expand people's thoughts, their minds, their palates.
So I love to hear that as well, because you're right. We don't lock ourselves in a box. We do have, I know that there's, pizza restaurants, and there are other types of cuisines that are out there that we happen to be experienced in, and we can provide that level of service and the product quality within those different genres or cuisines. So I'm glad to hear that we're encompassing all of those cuisines, and then not just our own cuisines, and we're opening up to other cultures as well. Because our community has always been one that has shared our culture, whether it's our music, our cuisine, our entertainment, everyone gravitates towards it. So it's great to see that we're making use of all the talents that are out there.
Yeah, people are always like, oh, I didn't know this was Black-owned. I didn't know. It's like, yeah, we do different things too. A big popular restaurant just opened in Manhattan is a dumpling spot. They do dumplings, and it's great, and it's fine dining too.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, because once we start to expand more, then we can attract more capital, more resources back into our community. So I'm definitely glad to hear that. What are some of the features of the EatOkra app that some of the users are enjoying right now?
Yeah, so organic reviews. We have about 6,000 reviews in the app. So everything is real organic. We're not pulling from other sites. People can favorite, every restaurant has a score that people enjoy. You can create collections or save for later. You can share a collection if you're in Texas. So if you have family visiting, what do they ask? Where can I find what are the best restaurants, or what are your favorite Black-owned restaurants here? Here you can share them your list. You don't have to think about top of your head, and then you're always thinking about the same ones top of your head. What about those other ones that you remember but don't? So yeah, collections, reviews. You can browse ahead. So you don't have to just look in your where your geographical location is now. You can browse New York, what's new in New York. I have a trip going to Oakland. Can I plan that trip? We actually got a review. A woman graciously wrote us and said, her and her daughter took a trip to Oakland, and they used the app the entire trip for the 3-day trip to plan breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that was awesome, to see how people are using, flight attendants use it when they're traveling to different cities and looking to support Black-owned businesses. So yeah, I mean, those are our favorite features, but we're adding a new feature as we speak. We're allowing people to order food on our app. So that's a big improvement for us, financially, transactionally, business model wise. So we're excited. We've been building it for pretty much the last year, and we're actually onboarding restaurants into our solution now. So be on the lookout. In a few weeks, few months, it'll go live, and you can order food from some of your favorite restaurants.
I love that. And so the food will be delivered similar to other apps that are out there, right? The food delivery services then, right?
Yeah, delivery or pickup. Yep.
Perfect. Now, see, I love that because now it creates different opportunities for the restaurants to increase their sales. Obviously, for you, there's some pass-through opportunities there for you as well. And then more people can experience the different cuisines that are being offered through EatOkra. So I'm really glad to hear that. Now, talk to us about, you talked again about that word of mouth, where the community is really doing the work for you. And then you think about something like USBC, where you have 500,000 downloads. We represent over 300,000 businesses. All of our businesses, or many of our businesses, are evangelists for the Black business community. Talk to us about the importance of your community reaching out and telling others about EatOkra.
Yeah, it's important. One, for us to work together, USBC and EatOkra, because there's a lot of overlap and a lot of building we can do together, and sharing of resources in our networking. It's important for other folks to share it too, because we are Black businesses. We have historically been underrepresented, not getting a fair share of finance, equity, the resources, education, all those things. So it's important that this helps us build just by you sharing, just simply sharing and expanding our reach to your community is like one of the biggest things you can do to help us, outside of giving us $1 or $2. Just expanding our vision, our mission to a new community is extremely helpful, period.
Awesome. Now, Anthony, I'm not going to pretend that any of this was easy, right? I mean, there were some challenges along the way, but you and your co-founder were able to maneuver through those. Now, I wonder if you could give us 3 pieces of advice, 1 to 3 pieces of advice for anyone who's starting out in any tech endeavor or any entrepreneurial endeavor. What 3 pieces of advice would you give to them?
I would say 1, persistence, or overcome those fears, those internal fears you have, or fight through those setbacks that you have. I would say really understand your strengths and weaknesses, and surround yourself by people that complement you where you're weak at. Don't try to do everything. Like, really try to be open and honest with yourself, so that you can effectively build the right team around you, and really try to choose people that are passionate about your mission. I think you should talk about your company or what you're building to as many people as possible. I think a lot of us get stuck on, oh, they're going to steal my idea or something like that. Really talk about it, because the people you talk to are going to help you further define what it is. I think applications are great. If you're applying for grants, even if you don't think you get it, just fill those grants out, because in that contains a lot of information about what these companies are looking for when giving out grant money or giving out loan, things like that. So, and it helps you understand your business, helps you understand your model, helps you understand the vision and the mission, and just it's practice, right? So can always continue to practice those things and talk to people. Strengths and weaknesses I mentioned, and understand that life happens, but there's some things you're gonna have to give up. There's a sacrifice in being a single entrepreneur, especially if you have family and kids. Can you go to the gym all the time like you want to? You have to get that up, or going to the club or late nights. Like, something's got to give when you're really trying to build a business from the ground up. And I've had to learn that.
All right, you gave us some bonus nuggets there. So we talked about a number of things. One of the things though is understanding your business, and whether you take the time as an entrepreneur to sit down and understand everything yourself, or if you go through those processes, right? The applications, the pitch competitions, the conversations with potential customers, with potential investors, with potential employees, partners, etc. That's going to help you to build that understanding of your business, right? And it sounds like that's part of the process that you use.
Yeah, and I would say also add that, this is an iterative process. It's not a perfect process. So don't get stuck being perfect. Like, as a developer, I try not to get stuck building the most performant code. I need it to just work. I can hire somebody, an expert, to make it as polished as it can be later on at scale, So don't try to build for scale as a developer. Don't try to build for scale too early, too soon, because you're just going to get stuck, Exactly. Yeah.
And that's really great advice, because a lot of folks, once they hit that first wall, that's it. The race is over. And so what you're describing is, as long as it's working, it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be, 100%. But if we've got 60% of it, then let's run with that until such time we can build around.
Right.
So I love that. You're giving us some good nuggets, and I don't want to take up all of your time today, but I do have just two more questions for you. We think about, some of those tough times, and we think about we're in a tough economic environment right now. We just come out of a really tough pandemic, and a lot of what you're doing requires motivation in order to stay in the game. What are some of the things that motivate you as an entrepreneur?
I'm motivated by other entrepreneurs. I love being in community with them and seeing what they're building. We're all having these similar struggles and trying to figure out together, but I'm always happy to help when I can, or where I can, or if even if it just means sending an email to make a connection. I feel fulfilled in that, and they equally do it to me. So just being in the startup community or engineering communities are really, really motivating. I'm motivated by people writing us and leaving reviews. That's always great to see that, okay, it's reassuring that people are really using this, they're getting value out of it. This one guy wrote me, actually he kind of saw me in a Best Buy. He's like, "You're Anthony EatOkra. You helped me lose 40 pounds over the pandemic." Another guy in Atlanta pulled me aside and said, your app almost single-handedly helped us stay afloat during the pandemic. So those things are really warming when we get those kind of reviews and stories sent to us.
So I love that about your business, is because you have the business side and the user side, or the customer side, the consumer side, where the businesses benefit because you have more consumers trafficking to their locations. And then the customers benefit because they find the foods that they love, or that they'll grow to love, or that can help them out physically, such as with the gentleman who lost weight. So no, that's really exciting to hear. And yes, it is motivating when you're able to look at your product and see how it's helping others.
Yeah, I think I'm also motivated by these kind of conversations, because that means people want to hear from me a little bit, or hear about my story and stuff. So that's kind of motivating for me to keep going. And when I get asked to speak on conferences, or these podcasts and stuff like that, I love it.
Oh, we definitely appreciate you here at USBC. We've seen your story, and we're so glad that you've taken the time with us on today. Any last or parting words that you have for our audience at USBC, or for the users at EatOkra?
Yeah, definitely. If you're a Black business owner, join USBC. There's a lot of resources there to take advantage of. You also get the certification by Black. If you're a vendor, definitely get on those sites too. If you're a Black-owned restaurant, join us on EatOkra.com and just share both of our apps to your community. businesses to our community and just help us grow and share our vision and mission.
Awesome. And no doubt you're going to grow leaps and bounds, Anthony, and we certainly do appreciate you. Now, on behalf of our president, Ron Busby, our board and our staff, I want to thank everyone for watching this special edition of Fridays with Phil with Anthony Edwards from EatOkra. Until the next time we talk, y'all be sure to have a great weekend, a safe weekend, and we'll see you back here next Friday on Fridays with Phil at USBC. Thank you, Anthony.